I'm calling it right here. This world can officially bite my ass.
You want to know what one of the strangest things is about doing runs on the same handful of games multiple times? People really like requesting that you check out their favourite weapons. You would think it would mostly be ones that would be difficult to complete the game with, but no. I could not tell you just how many requests I've got for things like beating the Fallouts with a Fat Man, an anti-material rifle, or the oh so devastating Alien Blaster. That last one is where this idea spawned from, naturally. I could just play 3-4 or New Vegas with the blaster and call it a day, but I thought doubling down on the creature run as well could be fun. So today we ask the question, can you beat Fallout 4 as an alien? Fun fact, unlike 3 in New Vegas, the blaster in 4 will not spawn in until you reach level 20. This means we are going to need to reach that before the run truly begins. I could use mods or console commands for that, but I figured not using them would be more stupid, so here we are. Much like the other creature videos, such as the Deathclaw and Rad Scorpion, the playable alien mod is also by DummyBot, as per the others. It has some unique animations that will both help and hinder the run. For some added variety, and out of my own morbid curiosity, I tossed in the Creation Club that adds a very short quest about aliens that gains you access to 3 more weapons of the space variety that were introduced in Fallout 3's Mothership Zeta DLC. Now, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Creation at the vault exit because there is no reason to engage with anything prior to this, and I give my Xeno self a fitting if not so original name. I nearly put in Hugh Grant by mistake, which wouldn't have been the worst I suppose, as he is part Gungan.
Order! Excuse me.
My specials didn't matter all that much to me, as I'm going to be grinding to level 20 anyway. I could just use some of those extra perk points to increase them accordingly. One thing I did do was bump my intelligence to 10, we will go over that in a minute. Leaving the vault and I run straight for the chem lab at Sanctuary so I can craft the alien morph so things can begin. I noticed that you could also craft an infinite amount of alien blasters and ammo as well. Handy if you're like 99% of people using this mod and just messing around, but I don't exactly want to just spawn in a mid to late game weapon with infinite ammo against enemies who are barely strong enough to pull the triggers on their own guns. That said, alien ammo is limited, so maybe I'll need to figure out some sort of trade system, like pseudo-buying them by dropping caps equivalent to how much I'm crafting, if that makes sense. Like usual, third person is where all the unique animations are present, so let's go over those. The alien can move in all directions like you normally can, and has slightly different walking/running animations depending on whether your weapon is holstered or not. Now, it cannot sprint while in third person, but if you hold straight forward while your weapon is out, you pick up speed remarkably fast. It's a tad buggy though, and if you move the left stick at all, you will go back to normal speed. So if you want to keep this pace and turn at the same time, you'll need to use the right stick as well. The first thing that came to my mind is that it's like driving the Warthog in Halo. While forward motion is good, attempting to move backwards feels like you're engulfed in syrup. Saying it's painfully slow feels like quite the understatement. Other than that, the only unique movement option the alien had is his little dodge to the left if I click in the right stick. I've no clue if this will ever come in handy, but nevertheless it is fun to watch him schmoove around the place, even if it does remind me a little too much of side jumping everywhere in the old 3D Zeldas. With that procrastinating out of the way, it was time to grind to level 20. I'll keep it brief, I just used the shelf method. Yes, it is technically faster to go to the ironworks and build the copper statues, but I didn't want to travel all the way there. Instead, I just used the duplication glitch, which is simply achieved by scrapping and storing materials a few frames after each other, so you double your resources. I did this with steel, so I'd never run out of shelves to build. To speed the process along ever so slightly, I had a mod installed, which was actually for another run, that removed the build limit of your settlements. Just meant I wouldn't need to individually scrap all the shelves every few minutes. And yes, I did the trick where you build them on wall decorations so that when I was finished I could just remove the painting and take all of the shelves with it. Good thing too, as look at how it just murdered the frame rate when I got close. Like the mod says, those limits are there for a reason. In the end, I crafted around 5,000 shelves to get me from level 1 all the way to 20. This took around 45 minutes, give or take, and a metric shit ton of A presses. It would have been faster if I had Idiot Savant, but I attempted to compensate for that by doing the exploit with Beer, where you use it to lower a stat to 9, and then read the I'm Special book in Sean's room to put another point into intelligence, so that when the alcohol wore off, I would have a permanent intelligence stat of 11. I'm not actually sure if it increased the XP gains by all that much, but I figured it made sense to do so, as now you can say his intelligence is quite literally out of this world. Yes, that is really the only reason I maxed my int stat at the beginning. As soon as I reach level 20, I begin making my way south. Sure enough, after only running for about a minute, I see the ship fly by and crash near Oberlin Station. I make a beeline for the crash site, somehow not encountering any hostile life on the way. I stand next to the ship for a shot that I may need to use at some point, and then follow the green breadcrumb trail to the nearby cave. There was an attempt to make nice with my brother from another mothership, but the crash appears to have fried his brains, so all I can do is put him down. Fortunately, we can still throw a punch in first person, and a rather devastating one at that. With him down, I grab the gun and can get to the fun parts of this, hopefully. 50 energy damage is nothing to scoff at, especially when you consider I have invested 0 perks into upping any damage. I would also like to mention that there is no unholstering animation for the Xeno, so not only are the raiders about to meet God, but they will also bear witness to the fastest draw in the wastes. It's not all great though. Trying to aim doesn't really work, blind firing is currently a crapshoot, and for some baffling reason, moving left with the weapon drawn causes the camera to lower and just completely glitch out. That last one happens throughout the run with seemingly no way to fix it permanently sadly, so beware. At the very least, the hip firing can be improved by dropping 6 points into strength to grab the steady aim perk. Probably a couple of weapon mods to help out too, but I feel like they are going to require some points in science, and you have to get a lot of levels for the higher tiers of that perk. At the very least, I can go into first person every now and then if the camera starts to get too wonky, mainly for close quarters environments. Dealing with the Deathclaw is more difficult than I initially thought. It is still a Deathclaw at the end of the day, plus I sort of forgot that I move at a snail's pace when trying to go backwards, so that caused me to get unceremoniously diced a few times. Thankfully, the shop near the museum provides a safe haven like usual, and I have no shame. That also works with the alien, wasn't sure where to toss that in, but yeah, helps for lining up more accurate shots on the Deathclaw for now at the very least. In the end, Preston gets the kill. For once in his life, he managed to land more than 2 shots, plus my arms got broken in the scuffle, and as such, the blaster was unequipped, and I could not get the XP I so desperately craved. Not quite sure what to be doing with my life, I ran down the road and off to Wolfgang. Figured the blood money from Trudy may come in handy at some stage. Witnessing just how overpowered I truly am, I continued to test the blaster on anybody who would let me, such as Fred and Angie, who were convinced Jules here was some sort of evil synth. Now, I'm not quite sure on the evil part. Again, I kind of just opened fire without asking questions, but at the very least, we did save him, so the good outbalances the murder. To keep things a little fresh, I decided to make a beeline for the Alien Creation Club quest. After all, I've never ran through it before, let alone seen it, so figured it could be interesting. We find a farmer along with some dead Brahmin, and upon reading the note on his person, we learn that he saw his cattle being lifted off into the night sky by a bright light. I played enough Destroy All Humans as a child to know where this is going, so it was time to go rescue some Brahmin. To my genuine shock, and also delight, when I arrived there was indeed a UFO attempting to abduct the Brahmin. Don't want to sound like an ass, but typically most of the Creation Club stuff is rather limited in quality, so I was half expecting to just rock up here and find the weapons. There are 2 more of my people here. Again, like before, they are immediately hostile, so we need to give them a customary Earth greeting. They nearly get the best of me, seemingly due to them being a lot more skilled with the wonky third-person hip firing. Thankfully, that saves my green bacon this day, and we can reap the rewards. First one had the atomizer, kind of just another variant of the alien blaster as it's another pistol-type weapon. I prefer the look of the blaster, so I'll doubt I'll be using this one very much. The other Martian was carrying the disintegrator though. That I very much tend to get some use out of. The final weapon is stuck in a dead Brahmin, and that would be the alien shock baton. It's a decent, quick melee weapon that can stun. Honestly, a great alternative to use in close quarters fights. The only issue is I am restricted to first person when using it, as the aliens don't have any animations for melee attacks, so it won't work in third person. After that, I return a keepsake of the farmer to one of the dead cows, and that finishes off the short but sweet quest. Naturally, with 3 more weapons in my arsenal, I take them back to the nearest workbench to see what we're working with. As expected, most of them require levels in science, although only the 3rd rank, which is good. I can get that once I reach level 28, which isn't too much of a stretch from here, if we're being honest. Truth be told, I don't believe any of these modifications are necessary. That said, I cannot just ignore the fact that the Disintegrator has a mod that allows it to do a total of 300 damage per shot and not become incredibly interested in what that may be like. I'll need levels for that, which also means XP. Many ways to go about that one, but if you have been watching this channel for long enough, you'll know that I'd rather get that the old-fashioned way by jumping headfirst into combat rather than exploits. Yes, I'm aware how stupid that sounds in this video in particular, given what I spent the first hour doing, but hush, we shall get the rest of those levels and perks with some good old-fashioned cleansing. No rhyme or reason to where I ended up. Beantown Brewery, for example, was my first port of call. Easy, simple, low-level raiders who refused to put up much resistance. On the bright side, they were good practice for the baton. If hordes of XP-shaped people were my goal, then I need look no further than Cambridge and its ghoul infestation for some quick progress. Again, the shock baton continues to shine. Once they're out of the picture, I turn my attention and bloodlust towards Dance and his crew. For the effort and ammo involved, they honestly aren't worth the hassle, but I knew I wouldn't be following them to victory today, so figured sweeping them under the rug for now would be a few less problems to deal with in the future. Dance hits hard, but Healan and Reese go down without much thought. Dance is a synth at the end of the day, and one that seems to lack the combat protocols to just approach and blast me out of cover. With them dead, I raid the station for supplies that I don't think I ever used, before continuing my way to parts unknown. Alright, well, not really. My hubris led me east to the comics store, as I knew I could clear the building without breaking a sweat. With my confidence at an all-time high, naturally the next hit on my list was Swan in the nearby pond. As it stands, I don't have the defenses to just tough him out, so this is one of those cat and mouse encounters that feels more like a Benny Hill skid as opposed to a well-planned attack. A few shots here, a couple of blasts there, followed by the alien's ever-reliable super sprint, allowed me to somewhat literally run circles around the big green lummox until he just couldn't keep up anymore. Again, like most things that I'm finding in this run, I cannot do much with his loot. However, I did come across possibly the best discovery of this entire playthrough, that being, the alien can in fact wear clothes. The chuckles this got out of me were plentiful, I assure you. Well, I'm in the area, so may as well save Nick from Skinny and his cronies. The Triggermen have next to no energy resistance, so regardless of how strong we are, the alien weapons were always going to ruin their day. I messed around with the third-person camera a little as well to try and make things a little easier to line up shots, by which I mean I pulled it closer to the point where it almost reminded me of Dead Space. I kinda wanna just replay Dead Space now. Do you think we're ever gonna get a new Dead Space? I melt enough of the would-be gangsters to reach level 22, which would also imply I hit 21 at some point and just forgot to mention it. All I do with the point is take the second rank of Refractor. I'll be going toe-to-toe with Synths in the Brotherhood at some stage, so may as well start doubling down on those defenses. The rush to find and retrieve Nick is rather simple, even got some good mileage out of the baton. Wasn't low on ammo or anything, you know me, I just like to bludgeon people whenever possible. When confronted by Darla and Skinny, I just start blasting to great effect. I did notice something odd though. For whatever reason, you cannot rapid-fire weapons in third person as the alien. Like, this is me mashing the trigger as fast as I physically can, and you can see clear as day the fire rate leaves a lot to be desired. Swapping back to first person allows the weapon to function how you would expect though. Off to Diamond City, and all of note that happened on the way was I cleared out the raiders at Backstreet Apparel for no other reason than I felt like it. The simple act of running out onto the fields fills me with enough glee to reach 23. Again, it's all into Refractor. I wish to live. Most importantly, I check the price of my alien rounds with Arturo. He sells them back to me for 3 caps apiece, so when crafting my own I'll do a 3-to-1 split with however many caps I currently have, assuming they are divisible by 3. Anyway, I sell just about everything I got my little green sausages on, helped Nick with some B&E, and then returned to Sanctuary to see just how many cells I'm allowed to craft. As I have 1,127 caps, that means I'd be able to afford 375, so that is how many I craft. Add that to the ammo I'm already lugging around, and that brings us to a total of 704. Gonna be a decent amount of basic math today. With all that scavenging I've been doing, I got the materials to modify the rifle just a little bit. Alright, so I turned it into a space flamethrower. I like the blue colours, they're quite mesmerising. Oddly though, much like the baton, this only works in first person. It also chugs through my ammo reserves like nothing else, while not really putting out the damage to compensate. May prove worthwhile against crowds, but only time will tell. Don't have the caps to afford using it all willy-nilly, mind you, and I really do not want to rock up to Kellogg with nothing but the alien cattle prod. Or at least that was probably what should have been going through my mind, but upon reviewing the footage, it seems like I entered the federal ration stockpile and just started painting the walls purple. Yeah, so, fun fact, kinda, I recorded this back in July. The 22nd to be exact. But due to the upcoming release of Metal Gear Solid Delta, I ended up wanting to shift focus to this year's Lincoln run for obvious reasons. Spoilers for that, by the way, but it has been out for nearly 3 months. Then, my birthday was obviously coming up in October, so the gifts and rewards run took center stage, and then I ended up making 2 videos because I cannot help myself. Basically, what I am saying is I don't remember most of this, so it may as well be new to all of us. After I am done wasting resources on the nameless raiders, it was onwards to Fort Hagen, for story purposes and to see if all those levels in Refractor made a difference. Seemingly it did, but not on the synth leader. He inflicted pain on me so fast I didn't even have much time to comprehend the situation before I tripped on a box and promptly concussed myself on a nearby desk. Next try is much the same, but third attempt has me coming out on top, thanks to him being slightly less aggressive, as well as having the brain power to work out cover equals good. The fight to Kellogg goes by in a flash, even this legendary Strider, although that's mostly down to me blowing off one of his legs the second I laid eyes on him. I will note that one of his less impressive cousins gets me to level 24 just before the boss fight. For once, I don't put the point into Refractor, because it won't let me, and instead it goes into Commando. What the fuck? Okay, well, wasted perk point aside, that's not even the biggest blunder of this trek through the fort. While not wasting ammo needlessly should have been the priority, it seems past me didn't get the memo and instead figured pouring nearly half my cells down the drain would be a better alternative. Sure, it makes short work of the synths and Kellogg, the latter of which backed himself into a corner for the really easy kill, but still, looks like it'll be time to go restocking again soon. Back to Diamond City, I resolved the situation with the brothers before reporting back to Nick for story progression. Memory Den next, but as I've already done this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 29 times before this run, you don't need to hear about it for a 30th. Instead, I end up doing some exploring. It's a fancy way of saying eradicating any life forms that I come across, so it's like the Christopher Columbus kind. I flexed my superior green man genes on some super mutants, bat on some dogs, and even dusted the gunners occupying the mass fusion building. Many a raider as well, but that's to be expected, which means you would be right to assume I wandered into the Old North Church to violently describe that we do not in fact come in peace. According to my notes, I stumbled up here on accident, but even I don't believe me on that one. Killing them was inevitable, but at least coming here now means I have good loot for cash and in return ammo. Strolling around town some more and I spot a vertibird high in the sky. Of course they want my head, so I return the favour by popping one of theirs. Fallout 4 crits being a guaranteed hit in VATS truly makes vertibirds a non-issue when going against the Brotherhood. That said, it can lead to some impressive looking shots. After all that shooting and looting, I return to Diamond City where I visit anyone who will even consider bartering with me until I am sitting at a whopping 3,542 caps. That's another 1,180 alien cells on top of the 95 I still had from the last batch. At 1,275 rounds, I feel I should be good to go for the foreseeable future. Oh, and say goodbye to the flamethrower, for I have transformed it into a sniper rifle now instead. Goes without saying, but I think the rifle is the coolest out of the alien weaponry, simply due to how customizable it is. Keep that in mind, because it's also the reason why you may have noticed we are getting remarkably close to the end of the video. I put the sniper to work on some low-level raiders, but more importantly, I once again begin clearing the skies of any birds that I see, and with relative ease, even without using VATS. I have my fun for a bit before finally deciding it was time to head south and make my way for the glowing sea. Speaking of sea, another fun alien fact, they cannot drown. But to compensate for that, they also lack the ability to swim, so it evens itself out. The glowing sea reminds me of home, so it's a mostly pain-free trip. Even the Deathclaws can't do much against my arsenal. Stingwings and bloodbugs, though, were very nearly the death of me. Trying to consistently hit them while in third person with a lower firing rate was far from ideal. Green tech, I'm tired of making green jokes. The gunners were rather low leveled compared to me, so it was nothing to worry about. Even the typical green tech missile launcher, who feels like this game's version of the High Hrothgar Frost Troll, was no match for us today. Typically, if you can survive all that, the Courser tends to fall in line too. And he did. I even got a snazzy new coat out of the scuffle, which was pleasant. Took it off, mind you, as I wasn't really sure where armor stands on the rules of this run, which is stupid when you consider that I am by all rights the one who makes the rules, but such is the way of things. Anywho, we need a teleporter, and the Minutemen are the only option that don't actively want me dissected, so that's who we're swinging towards today. I've yet to extend any sort of helping hand their way as of yet, so I'm somewhat forced to head on over to Tenpine's Bluff to do what else but clear out Corvega. About 25 levels above what I should be for this fight, just know I steamrolled the lot of them from a distance with the sniper. Bada bing, bada boom, the teleporter was now ours, and the moment we get inside, I agree to work with Father and his nerds because the idea of aliens secretly running the Commonwealth from underground was far too good to pass up. And honestly, from this point on, I just hard focus the Institute side of things to the end. It may seem like I am jumping way ahead here, but again, what I mentioned before about the alien rifle and its mod ability. Remember that mod that we mentioned way back that did over 300 damage? Well, I ended up upgrading it to that, which, as it turns out, is kind of just like a vastly overtuned grenade launcher. Case in point, here's me just breaking through the entire force of the Brotherhood at the airport without even really trying. It annihilated them, plain and simple. So much so, there wasn't much to talk about. So, yeah. I wrestled the airport back from the Tin Men, blew it up, and then returned to Father, finishing the game and proving yes, you can indeed beat Fallout 4 as an alien. That was interesting, I suppose. Should have figured grinding out to level 20 right off the bat and getting mid to late game weapons would trivialise the entire thing, but never really realised it would go that smoothly. On the bright side, I am working on a few other videos at the moment. 2 New Vegas runs to be exact, and another Fallout 4 one that I might get to at some stage soon. Goodness knows when that means they'll be out, mind you, but still. Regardless, that's going to be the end of the challenge video. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider giving the video a like. If you're interested in more challenges in the future, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to run these videos out fairly frequently. My name's Nerbit, stay safe everyone, I'll see y'all in the next video.